Hi, this is Beru, and I am going to walk you through healing the heroic Alakir encounter from a Resto Druid perspective. Phase 1 of this particular fight is probably the most challenging phase of any of the encounters in this expansion, in my opinion, and largely it's because there's so much going on. In addition to the squall lines and the wind bursts that you're already familiar with, the frost patches here do a bit more damage, and Alakir will target sections of his platform and put lightning that goes across the platform. And if there's more than one person in the section where the lightning is, there's a chain lightning between the two people. So there's a lot going on and a lot of things you have to watch out for. You'll see there that I just actually made a lateral movement to line up the squall line and the wind burst right there. And that's something that you pretty much have to navigate in this fight because you don't have the option like you do in normal mode of just jumping off the edge and then letting it spin you back up, because if you get any of these lightning clouds that come out while you're over the edge, you're going to likely die because you can't heal through them, and anyone else that goes over the edge is not going to be healable because they're out of line of sight. So your goal is basically to get in and out of phase 1 as fast as possible, because there's a lot of things going on and a lot of things that can cause you to make mistakes and fail in phase 1. And you'll probably spend the majority of your time learning this encounter in phase 1. You're going to see here in phase 2 that I went ahead and popped into Tree of Life. I don't always have Tree of Life up right here because a lot of times I'll use it in phase 1 if either myself or someone in the quadrant to the right of me gets the lightning, just so that I have the extra healing. But because I have it up, I'm going to use it early in phase 2 to make sure that I have it available again later on in the encounter. In this phase here, as the acid stacks grow, it is very healing intensive. So it's really important that you manage your mana well to get in and out of this phase. As long as you make it through this phase, you can have not a whole lot of mana in phase 3 and still pretty much succeed. So basically what I do is I keep my life bloom on the tank. We use one tank who's going to tank Alec here and pick up the Stormlings. And then I help out on the raid. I will put out as many rejuves as I can with my mana allowing it comfortably. I'll Swift Mend on cooldown, and I'm going to Wild Growth on cooldown. I'll assist with the tank as much as possible, usually with a Nourish or a Healing Touch depending on what's needed. And I we'll try to remind everybody to stand in, the glowing green puddles to help any with the extra healing that we can. We try to make sure to drop those where everyone in the raid, including the melee, can get them. You're going to see that our raid is all in one section here with the tank in another section. The reason for that is because these Stormlings, as they come around, do a lot of damage or cause a lot of increased damage because they put a debuff on you that causes increased nature damage. So it's really important to keep those Stormlings out of the raid. You're going to see right here that we actually made a pretty big mistake in letting our stacks of feedback drop. When you're learning this fight, that's probably going to end up being a wipe, especially when you're over 4 or 5 stacks of feedback. This is our 3rd or 4th kill on it, so we're going to try to go ahead and push through anyways because our DPS is really high. But it is very important in this phase to try and make sure that none of your stacks of feedback ever drop off of Alec here, or you're going to find that it's fairly unhealable. We ask our entire raid to wear their Tolbarad trinket. They'll use it in phase 1 anytime they've got lightning on them, or additionally anytime that they have to stand in the frost to dodge a squall line or wait for wind burst. We'll use it in phase 3 pretty much about 3 stacks of the acid rain, and then every time it comes off cooldown, just to help mitigate some of the damage for the healers. Like I said, it's a very healing intensive encounter, and it will really push your healers to their limits. We use 3 healers for the encounter, but I have heard of some 10-man groups using 4 healers to successfully get through this phase. I can see, positives and negatives of both, so really whatever's most comfortable to your raid. Phase 2 is really about your DPS, managing those feedback stacks, and also making sure that you have strong enough DPS to push into phase 3. Once you get to phase 3, you're pretty much home free. What we do is we fly all the way to the top of Alakir's head, to the ceiling here, and we fly to the back of his head and we group up there. When the first lightning cloud comes, we're going to lower ourselves down to the middle of Alakir's head. And then the next lightning cloud, we're going to go one more step lower to Alakir's collar. We use these focal points to make sure that the entire raid knows where they are at, because if they're in the wrong spot, we're going to end up having a lot of problems with positioning and those clouds, and it won't be good. You see here that I end up with the lightning rod on me, so I move away from the rest of the raid, and I actually panicked a little bit. Instead of just using my sit button, flew down to the bottom, just to make sure I got away from everybody. During this third phase, I pretty much just keep Life Bloom on myself and heal up anyone else that gets the lightning rod, and heal up the raid. I'm almost always completely out of mana by this point in the fight, so it's really a struggle to make sure that people are managing their life well. No one should really take a lot of damage in this phase if they do it properly. So you don't need a lot of mana to finish this phase out. You just need to make sure you have enough mana to keep the people with the lightning rod alive, and anyone that gets nicked by the clouds, topped up, and get people topped up for the wind burst. Other than that, we just keep doing the same thing in phase 3. We, started his head and then moved down, and then after the third one we come to the hem of his cloak, then we move to the middle of his back. The next time we have a lightning cloud, we're going to move up to the purple and gold on his cape, and then we go back to his head again, and it's pretty much just rinse and repeat from there. It's not very healing intensive in this particular phase, so if you can make it through phase 2 and 1, then you're pretty much home free. I hope you found this guide helpful. Please don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for watching.